All right. Hello to day 4 of 30-day YouTube challenge. And today I will be talking about a book or a movie that had a profound impact on me. It was it was and is hard to think of just one. Um, in my case, I think it's more so book. Um, there's 3 that came in my mind. One of them was 10x Rule by Grant Cardone, and I read it really early on. I think it was just as it came out, and I was relatively new in self development. I probably was around 15, 16 years old, I think. And I remember the moment that I read it. I was, I just have like many books coming in my mind as I'm speaking. Um, we were on the way to it was like morning, the usual routine. The dad would drive us to school, and I was reading book in a car as I would usually do in the mornings. And at the time the book I was reading was 10x Rule. And and I think it was in a pocketbook. It wasn't it was digital. It wasn't the physical one. And I remember I was reading how he was describing the 10x Rule, the working extra and all that. And something about it was probably one of the first times that I actually felt seen and understood, or that I'm not like a crazy person, because I was that kid that would wake up at 5 a.m. to do my own workouts, and I would do a lot of I would learn a lot of psychology and or like mindset stuff, watch podcasts. I was never, and still I'm not really big into like parties or anything like that. I would just for the most part just train and learn like school stuff, but also like self development and things like that. And that was pretty much it. And I would always be like working on something. And I think reading that book was the first time when I remember thinking, oh, so I'm not crazy. Or it's like something is wrong with me. There was just something about the way he described the mindset or mentality or something that made me realize that, oh, I might actually be okay. So that was the first book. The second one that comes in mind is the okay, my brain is not working. It's late and I just came from a run. It is Surrender Experiment. I just talked about it in podcast recording. Um, I read this book right before I moved here. I'm currently in Estonia, originally from Latvia. And I remember when I was reading that book, first of all, I wasn't reading it, I was listening audio. That's the first thing. Secondly, I actually didn't finish the book. I think I got as far as I needed to get what I needed from the book. And I think still to this day, I haven't fully finished it. I have started it at least hmm, 3 to 5 times, I think. And at that time, I think the main lesson that I got from it was about that surrender and trusting the flow and not trying to force the path that you think is the best path for you, and just trusting the process, trusting the kind of little nudges or little signs that you feel might be guiding you towards certain decision. And that's actually how I ended up moving here. There was no plan to come to Estonia. It wasn't even in the picture to come here. But there was something about the book that gave me reassurance when I got the right, or things aligned the right way, that I was like, why not? I'm just gonna move here. And it's like two months later, after getting an idea to or suggestion to move here, I ended up moving here. And funnily enough, as I was speaking, I got different third book than I had in mind initially going into this video. Um, which initially I was thinking about Alchemist, but there's no real story behind it other than both times that I have read it. I remember that at the end of the reading, the moment I read the last sentences, I would just literally just sit and think for like 10 to 30 minutes. And I haven't had any other book have that. The only closest one was Think and Grow Rich. The very last sentence in the book, by the time you finish it, is like, whoa, that hits. Well, it hit me. But Alchemist has been the book that, other than like, there's no real like not even like impact, but like real reason other than I just remember that both times that I have read it, I would I would read it really quickly, but also I would be sitting and thinking and pondering at the end of that book. Um, but the one that came actually in my mind as I was like filming all this was Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And that book I probably have read once or twice. Oh no, actually I don't have that one in paper. I have his second book in paper. That book, the Can't Hurt Me, I probably have listened in audio like from start to end 3 times. And every time when I start to listen it, a lot of times I would be doing it when I'm going for runs, which is really aligned with Goggins. Um, and also when I would be listening, it's one of those books that I think is, if you're able to get past his language or delivery, and you actually go deeper and try to find meaning and connection and uh, information that resonates with you that you can take on in your life and apply, there's many layers to that book. Every time when I'm listening through the book, one, I also like the format where between the chapters they're doing a little podcast and discussing stuff. But every time that I listen to the podcast, I notice this. I have new realizations, new insights, and it's like I get exactly what I needed at that time to either pivot or take the action or go harder, or just I have these insights that it for me the most interesting thing has been just going in general when it comes to reading. Right now I'm reading way less than I did before. Before I would be reading like 50 to like 75 or 80 books a year. Now I don't read as much, but I look at books more like manuals. So I'm still reading, but I read it with the mindset of how do I apply it? How can I take it on like my life and actually live it or try to live it and apply it? Or if I would ponder on things on how what the book is talking about is relevant to me or how I could put it in practice. Because that's one thing that I learned is that for many years, I would just consume the information. I would be reading insane amounts. I would understand stuff, but it wouldn't really click it because I wasn't doing anything about it. That's the hard part of it. Reading is easy, but putting it in practice, that's the challenge. And that's where in the last, I would say like 7 or so years, especially I would say like last 4 to 5 years, I have been really shifting into taking action and also I'm like getting more like mentors or people that I'm learning from, people that get on my podcast also, I'm learning a lot from them. So there's different sources through which I'm learning. But I would say even when I was thinking about like, okay, what are the books? I was thinking about the books that have made the most impact, not just here, but in the real life, in decisions I made or the way I would show up or the way I would like transition or my life would change during that time based on things that I'd be learning or applying. Um, so I would say that's the answer. It's not it's not one book. It's really hard to choose just one. And I think these are just the ones that came to me because there's probably way more than I could give if I would just like sit and ponder on it for a bit. But yeah, that's the book or a movie that had a profound impact on me. In this case, books. And tomorrow I'll be talking about a skill or hobby that I'm passionate about. See you tomorrow.